The following presentation is brought to you by the Pride of ODU, the official NIL collective of Old Dominion Athletics. Be a monarchist. Join the Pride. Monarch Nation, we are here on a Victory Sunday to talk about the big win over Arkansas State. I said big, just a win. Old Dominion moved to 5 wins on the year. Gary gets the Cash's over bet. And we are here to talk about the season as a whole and this offseason. But obviously, first, how y'all doing today?
Feeling good, man. I mean, had a good time at Afterglow yesterday. Thanks for the folks that came out. We enjoyed it. Afterglow, as always, was awesome. And it's nice to wake up on a Sunday without that kind of loss of a hangover, get a good workout in, and be able to talk about going out of the season on a high note.
I mean, so far so good today. Met up with our good friend Chad to get paid out on that win total bet. Bought him some lunch for handling all that for me. But nice to end the season with the win, so we at least have some positive things to talk about before we start looking on to the portal and next season and all that stuff. But overall, a decent Sunday. Other than Trevor Lawrence getting his head taken off earlier.
Dude, that was a brutal hit.
Yeah. It's okay. Right. The Jags are talented enough to overcome it.
Obviously, yeah. The Jags are in great hands right now. 406 rushing yards yesterday for Old Dominion. I think that's where we have to start. Early on in this game, when it was clear Quinn Hennicle was the starter, obvious to all ODU fans, but not the Arkansas State announcers who decided to call him Colton Joseph for a good 10 minutes. But early on, it was clear we were committed to the run, and we were not going to go away from it until Arkansas State forced us to, and that never really happened.
You're right. Well, first off, to those in Monarch Nation and those outside of Monarch Nation, I just want to let folks know that, as you just said, Mike, it's Hennicle. It's not Heinickel. It is Hennicle. I know we all we want a reincarnation of Heineke, but just for the guy, Quinn Hennicle, what a great game. Yes, Harry, it is live and it is cool. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, man, we ran the ball down their throats, 406 yards. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I liked it when Arkansas State did finally make the adjustment to pack the box and stop us. That's when we threw the ball, and we were really, really effective. And that kept them from loading the box in the end of the game because they were worried about 75 yards to Pat Conroy or someone else coming out of the backfield. So we did a good job of running until they loaded the box so much that we were able to hit some easy passes with guys running open. But what a day for Quinn Hennicle. I mean, crazy stats. He has the longest rushing touchdown for a quarterback in the country this year with that first play of the game. And, man, I feel really good about the quarterback room for at least the next couple days.
Yeah, so I got a first comment that Quinn, the maturation growth from his game against Virginia Tech to yesterday was pretty huge, and that should not be understated. He runs for over 200 yards. Have we ever seen that from a quarterback here? Colton got close, but man, this is ridiculous how good these two guys are at running the ball.
I can't remember anything like that. I mean, we saw a lot of running from Thomas and Taylor back in the day, but it seems like this is on a different level with regards to their running ability. I mean, if they make a dude miss, it could be devastating for another team. Those guys are just gone.
Well, we know it's the single game rushing record for ODU in school history. I was trying to think of the last time we had a 200-yard rusher, period, quarterback or not. And I'm pretty sure it was Blake Watson at Coastal Carolina in 21. I think that's the last time we had that.
That sounds right. Anytime before that, it's probably Ray Lowry.
Maybe last year at Marshall, because we had that funky game. I'm gonna have to look that up and see. But we haven't had very many. I know that we've been our most successful offenses have not been moving the ball on the ground.
So, yeah, just the comfortability that he had with the offense yesterday compared to his game against Tech, it was clear he took a lot of growth in this season, and very excited for his future. I know we've been told that he has a very high ceiling, and we got a little bit of a picture of that yesterday. 9 of 12, very efficient passing the ball. Only thing that scared me was that weird jump pass that he did on 4th down, or was that
the second? It was the second jump pass of the day, I think.
It looked like
Except it was weird and kind of was going. Yeah,
it looked like it was setting up like a shovel screen back to the inside, and the two defenders from Arkansas State blew past the offensive line. But instead of continuing to run at Quinn, they stopped, like they recognized that it was a screen or shovel and put their hands up. So I think it was more of, I don't want to take a sack. I'm just glad the ball bounced harmlessly off the turf, though.
I think we also should credit this defensive line. They were producing pressure all game long, and they were getting to the quarterback a lot. I think it was 6 sacks off the top of my head.
Yeah.
They were having success getting the quarterback, putting him into pressure, and it led to some turnovers as well.
Gary, do you know the last time we had 6 sacks? I can't remember a time. O'Shane, maybe? I don't know.
I feel like we came close one game last year, and it was a fluky game. But I don't think it got to 6. I think it was like 5. But they were all in like the first half or something. But, man, yeah, D-line was getting after it. I think we had 8 tackles for a loss and 6 of them were sacks. That's doing a pretty damn good job in pass rush. We got burned a couple times on 4th down yesterday on the defensive side of the ball. I think the first 2 touchdowns were scored on 4th down. And it was like it's what we've seen before where we send a pretty big blitz package and it just doesn't get there fast enough to affect the quarterback and they're able to complete the pass down the field. That's something we got to figure out in the offseason. We either got to cover better or get there faster, or change our scheme. But for the most part yesterday, the defense was good about getting after Rayner.
Yeah. Overall, we controlled this game from start to finish. But go back to Quinn's first run being a touchdown again. He's 2 for 2 now. On his first play of the game being a big run that he's busted loose for a touchdown. I don't know if that's a trend that we can expect to continue. Obviously, that is asking a lot. Your first carry of every game going to the house, but it's a streak I hope continues because that's fun to watch.
Yeah, if you're the defense, are you putting 11 in the box in the first play next season? If first play that Quinn's in, massive wall.
Yeah, or at the very least, I'm putting like 4 spies back there cover each quad.
Yeah, we were told he's the 4th fastest player in the team, and he showed it yesterday. Anytime he got an edge, he was gone. It was fun to watch. Fun watching them run the ball down their throats all game long, and Arkansas State never really had an answer.
Well, they didn't have much choice. They were getting put on their back by that offensive line quite a bit. That's probably going to be a very fun film watch for that offensive line because I think pretty much everyone had at least one pancake, and there were a couple where Barlev was downfield a little bit and had some fun with some dudes. And I think Santana got a pretty good one as well. If you go back and watch some of that offensive line play, they were doing some fun stuff yesterday. So I hope they enjoy that because that was a hell of a performance to open up those gaps the way they did.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of yesterday's game, we have to announce. We've tried to tell people like these are guys you need to appreciate while we have them. And yesterday, his last season, Isaiah Page, his game was cut short because of injury. And it sucks because we've had so much fun watching him grow over the years. And he's become really a focal point of this offense this season. and it sucks to see him go out that way.
Well,
you're muted.
Probably a good thing because I was stumbling all over my words. Isaiah is one of those guys that when we look back at Old Dominion football and you talk about guys that are monarchs and true monarchs, he's a guy that's got to be on that list. He's a really, really easy guy to cheer for. It was, like you said, it was devastating to watch him go down. I'm just glad if it had to happen, it had happened towards the last game of the season. So he really had a full senior season. But we're going to miss that guy. I mean, we're going to miss him as fans, and the team is going to miss his leadership, that wide receiver room. But thank you, Isaiah, man. I think everybody has really, really enjoyed cheering for you and watching you play over the years.
Absolutely. And we've had quite a few guys that just come through for 1 or 2 seasons too that make a big impact, and they're gone, and you almost don't even get the timeline to appreciate them. I think Pat Conroy, how important he's been to this team this year. Like I think if we don't have him, we probably lose 1 or 2 more games. Just to be completely honest with you, he is a absolute warrior. Like I don't know if at some point his laundry list of injuries will ever get out publicly, but he battled through a lot to play, and he's been the only tight end this year. Then Aaron Young as well, both from performance on the field of going over 100 yards again yesterday, but just the mentality and the mindset that he brings in. And every time you talk to him, it's like, yep, I've been through something like this before at Rutgers, and we're going to be fine because of X, Y, and Z, and we're going to lead these guys through it. So I know there were some guys in the secondary as well with Reason, Rankin, some other guys, but those 2 guys on the offensive side of the ball made a big, big impact in their 1 year here.
Yeah, just to add to Aaron Young and how much fun he has been to watch, like just the last few games, he got better as the season went along. And the more carries he got, the more bruising of a back he became. And I got a lot of joy watching him play. And it just made me wish we had another season of him to watch ball out because he was a lot of fun to.
Yeah, it was clear he was nicked up early in the season. And once he finally got healthy, I mean, he was a difference maker. What was it, the last 4 games that he had 100-plus yard games?
Yep.
I mean, really hit a stride. Anytime there was a game that was a tough one, he was a guy that was coming in the post-game presser. It's clear that he's looked at as a leader on that squad. The coaches trust him. The players trust him. I agree, Mike. I wish we had him for another year. It's clear that family just puts out good human beings.
So we're getting a lot of questions in the chat about like the portal and next season, and we're going to talk about that. But we'd like to first cover Arkansas State and make sure we give the credit to the guys, and then we'll start talking about this season as a whole and then next season. So we got a lot to cover. Defensively yesterday, it was kind of up and down. Jalen Rayner was giving us some fits with his feet and making plays on 4th downs that were just tough to watch, but you got to give him credit. He was playing well despite his O-line kind of giving him issues and our D-line getting to the quarterback. I thought he played pretty well overall.
Yeah, I think defensively we just struggled to get off the field on 3rd down a little bit because they were getting 5-6 yards on 1st and 2nd down and getting into the short 3rd downs again. I love that we were aggressive in going after turnovers though, because I think that game looks a lot different if we don't, like, for starters, get those 2 turnovers on the first 2 drives of the game, but also turn them into touchdowns on the other end. So just some. I think it was Will Jones got the interception. I think Will Jones is second. And
yeah,
that was a great play on the ball. The ball was like a little bit overthrown, and he still got back behind the receiver and picked it off. Like that was a big, big play. Because secondary was obviously missing quite a few guys. Rankin was out, but we did see Patrick Smith-Young back. It was good to have him back on the field with his experience too at the other corner position. Just inconsistent, I think, a little in staying in coverage when we were blitzing.
Yeah, we're playing a lot of backers to keep guys fresh because, I mean, we are pretty beat up at this point in the season. And you could see some communication problems going on when you were mixing up those backs throughout the game. A lot of pointing right at the snap, like trying to tell people where they need to be. And sorry, just the comments are interesting. Yeah, Rankin is not with the program anymore. He had no years of eligibility left, so it is what it is.
He was not available for. He was not there for Marshall either. So this was his second game without him in the mix. How about Chris Trinidad yesterday?
Dude,
six
what a
tackles,
dog.
2 sacks. I mean, and timely sacks is when he got them as well. Nice to see him continue to break out this year. He does have a year of eligibility left. Would love to see him back. I think there's a lot of potential with that defensive front next year, based on years of eligibility remaining and all that.
Jaleel Colbreth had his name called quite a bit yesterday. I had a lot of fun watching him all season long, but 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. I mean, he was all over the field yesterday.
It was great to see him back. I mean, when he went out with that injury earlier in the season, I think all of us were concerned that was the last that we had seen of him for the year. So it was really great to see him out there, and it looked like he just hadn't missed a beat.
Yes, and there was someone else who missed the Marshall game that was back, Jerron Manning. And obviously we know the news that broke earlier today. He unfortunately has entered the transfer portal. But that's another one of those that you were alluding to, Mike, of enjoy the guys when we have them now. I think all 3 of us have been saying that all year. So he's clearly starting Power 4 conference talent. And I think he's going to have a big year wherever he goes. So appreciate the year and wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Yeah, I think Jerron is one of those examples of guys that are leaving and going on to they're going on to P4 football, but they did it the right way because they never stopped playing and giving their all for Old Dominion the entire time they were here. And that isn't always the case when some of these guys are leaving.
Yeah, I mean, he was nicked up for at least the last handful of games. Jerron really, he did it. Man, that guy is just such a good player. He's a great dude. And those are the sorts of guys that when we talk about the collective and the pride of ODU, we've got to keep growing this thing so we can give the program and the collective the tools to be able to try to hold on to those sorts of folks. But there's going to be guys where the P4, they just have bigger resources, and sometimes that's going to be what makes the difference. But unlike a lot of places where you saw guys enter the transfer portal early in the season because maybe they had a bug in their ear and they made decisions, Jerron played right to the last snap, gave his heart to everything. Those are the guys that you want next to you in the trenches.
Yeah, and he did miss the Marshall game, so it would have been really easy for him to just sit out Arkansas State too and not risk injury. But he was out there playing hard. I think we're going to be talking about Jerron Manning for quite a while into the future because, I mean, he has one good year at the P4 level, and he's going to be a fairly early round draft pick.
Another name that needs to be mentioned for yesterday was Devin Roche. Devin's missed quite a bit of time this year with injuries being nicked up, but we saw we asked where he was a lot of the time. Like, what's going on with Devin Roche? He plays fantastic as the second back yesterday. 7 carries, 86 yards. He was just like that awesome secondary punch after when Aaron Young was getting rest, and it was deadly. 406 yards. We said it already. It's school record. And that's not possible without Hennikel, Aaron Young, and Devin Roche all having big games.
You're right. They're also complementary to each other. You got AY who's doing his thing, just working on wearing down that defense and kind of just, hitting them. And then all of a sudden Devin comes in and he's just got that game-changing speed where he can stop on a dime and then start back up. We saw that on at least one play where he was able to do that. And just like we were talking about earlier with Quinn, is you make a mistake and it's to the house with a guy like Roche and his speed.
I hope he's able to just get fully healthy in the offseason. I mean, I think he's struggled with his availability since the opening kickoff at South Carolina when somebody grabbed his foot and gave it the old twist. And I think he's still been kind of recovering from that. But it's good to see him bounce back, have a good game, build some confidence in the offseason. I mean, right now he's in line to be the lead back next year. So just glad to see him get healthy. Need that speed. I think the defensive line overall had just an awesome day yesterday. Like they were racking up stats, they were causing some havoc, and I don't know if that's just because Arkansas State's smaller up front, but I don't know what you guys thought.
Well, I would add they were really good in the run game too yesterday. I mean, we held them to 149 yards net, 3.8 yards per carry. Part of that is because we were getting to the quarterback, but overall, we weren't letting them bust big runs for the most part all game long. And it forced them into becoming a passing team. They had 36 throws yesterday to our 12.
Yeah, that was something. That was something that Kara and I talked about earlier in the week. These teams were, they looked a lot alike with wanting to run the ball. And the thing that I told her at the end is I think whoever runs the ball better is going to win this game. Clearly, with 406 yards, we ran the ball better.
406 yards is a lot of total rushing yards. I'm honestly surprised we only won by 8 after rushing for 406 yards. Like normally you see that stat line and it's somebody blew somebody out 77-0 or something like that. Yeah, that's still mind blowing. Like, could we have done that all season? I wonder.
Well, I think why we didn't win by more is topic for one of our favorite callers, the Duke of Discipline, because we had a lot of procedural penalties yesterday again, and quite a few holds at the wrong time.
We want to go ahead and play that, Mike?
Throw his logo up first, and then let's hear it.
All right, let me get that logo. Boom. All right, here is the call.
Hey, fellas. Yeah, you just couldn't go out on a better note. Hot start, minor cool down, but a strong finish. Definitely wishing the best for Isaiah Page after that injury. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. He's an absolute dog. Absolutely appreciate what he's done for this program and stepping up to lead. I can't thank him enough for sticking with us. Unlike someone he and we know who thought the grass was greener on the other side and only caught 20 passes for less than 500 yards in 2 years. Not saying names. But other than that, I think we had just as many penalties as Arkansas State had injury timeout. So let's have that be a key emphasis with the discipline going into 2025. But going into the offseason, key things, retain. There are a lot of guys with continuity and progression can help us with the program. Colton obviously being the main one, and win. It's a must for Ricky and his staff to win the offseason, as I've said, and been critical. Ricky's been flipping in his years in the recruiting rating. So hopefully things change. It's a make or break it for him and lock in. Need these guys pissed off and just being done with the one-score games, want to change the narrative and want to host an SBC title game and win that as well. Other than that, I'm optimistic. I said my part on Twitter and truly hope things get turned around. Just need everybody else out there. If you're just as eager, you're loyal, you're wanting things to change, join the Pride. Do it for as little as $10 a month. Totally up to you. However, the more members are part of the Pride, the more you can have and influence and change. And as I said, put your money where your mouth is. I sure as hell do. Rain on.
Rain on, Garrick. Thanks as always for the call, and thanks for that pitch to join the collective. We're obviously big fans of that. Join the collective. All right, Aaron, we have other callers, and one of our best callers this year has been Justice.
Hey guys, Justice here. Great game yesterday. It was pretty awesome to see the team play with such fire and desire in a game where, as Ricky said last week, has to do with your own, what's inside of you. And so that was great to see. End the year strong. Hopefully that carries over to next year. I'm excited to see what the 2025 season brings. Hopefully we can keep the key pieces we need to keep, and we can add some key pieces through the transfer portal, and next year compete for a championship. As always, go Monarchs.
And Justice, thanks again for coming out to Afterglow yesterday. One of our faithful folks that are coming to all those watch parties, pep rallies. I'm optimistic as well.
If I didn't watch the game yesterday and I was on social media, I had no clue. In the first 4 seconds of Justice's phone call, I would have known that we won because he sounded a lot better than he did last week. You're on mute, Mike.
So we'll talk about. This is a good time to branch to the next, or to the recapping the season and what went right, what went wrong. This team ends up becoming. We scored as much as we gave up. I think it was 336 to 336. Was there points scored, points given up? We are what your record says you are. We're a 5-win team, but we were so close to making that jump this year where we thought we would be. But that 4.5 win mark, pretty damn good by Vegas.
Yes. I'm glad they're off by just a half.
All right. So, this season, we just were missing that extra play. Like, there was a couple plays every game that we could have made to make the game either not a one-score game or wins instead of losses.
A lot of those were just poorly timed turnovers, too. Like, I'm looking at South Carolina, and there's a rallying cry to get them in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to get in the playoffs, but they ended the season with only 3 losses, and they just beat Clemson on the road. And we gave them both of their touchdowns in our game. That I think, interceptions with East Carolina, fumbles at App State. Like, you're right. 1-2 plays in some of those games, and they flip, and we're having a very different podcast episode today.
Yeah, throw Marshall into that, throw James Madison into that, throw App State into that. Just so many games that could have went the other direction that didn't. But, we had wins that could have went the other direction, just like we did last year.
Yeah, you play in one-score games, eventually you get back to 50-50 at some point. But I think we ended up with, 10 of our 12 opponents are bowl eligible, and 6 of our 7 losses are one possession games.
Yeah, we were one of those Sunbelt teams who made sure to beat winning opponents, unlike some other folks out there that didn't beat a single team that had a winning record in the conference.
Well, to be fair to James Madison, if we had just finished that game off, they'd still have no wins against winning teams.
Exactly. So my comment stands.
Yeah.
This really it shows you the difference between how much a tough schedule can change your season versus a weak one. They showed Arkansas State and who their wins were against this year compared to ours. The schedule
Mike,
matters.
It does. These comments are stacking up, man. We need to address these. Do we want to take a real quick break for the pride and then come back and start hitting these and work them into the conversation?
That sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Let's do that.
This episode of the Monarchist Podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs.
All right, Aaron. So you're going to pick out the question and we're going to talk about it.
Absolutely. Here's the first one from Gregory Brown. What's up, fellas? First question, 05 alum. What's the percentage that each of you think that Dr. Seelig brings back Coach Ronnie after next season? Gary, why don't you hit that one first, man?
99%. I'll leave 1% for something crazy, but I think it's pretty clear Coach Ronnie will be back next season.
So I want to frame my answer a little bit differently. So there's two reasons you have a decision to make, right? You're going to weigh everything that's going to impact what happens if you replace Ricky right now. So on one side of this, the coin, if you replace Ricky after this season, you're going to need to buy him out. You're going to need to increase coaching budgets, like staffing budget, recruiting budget. You're probably going to be asked to boost the NIL by whoever you hire. And you're probably going to be asked to do a facility of enhancement of some sort. Not a very cheap thing to do in a year where almost every G5 is replacing their head coach. And there's not a whole lot of great head coaches out there right now. So you're going to be overpaying for a coach you probably don't really want.
So you're saying there's a chance? No.
Right. So that's a lot of investment in a year that you're not probably going to get a coach you even really like. Is it better off to just – we've been looking for a quarterback for 8 years.
We have 3 now.
We have quite a few quarterbacks to decide from moving forward, and all of them have their own tools and reasons why they're the future at Old Dominion. You fire Ricky, all of that goes away. The whole roster goes away. So if you want to win next year, your best chance is to retain Ricky.
So what's the percentage that you are saying?
I mean, he's not going anywhere. I don't think. It's just for all of the reasons just explained is why he's not going anywhere.
Including the 5 minutes we talked about how difficult the schedule was this year.
Yeah, 10 of 12 teams bowling. I don't think I've ever heard a number that crazy outside of the SEC, where almost every SEC team makes the bowls.
I mean, we're 3 pretty optimistic guys, sometimes probably too optimistic, but all of us in our first episode this year guessed on like what we thought the record was going to be. And I think you all were what? Like 7-5 in the regular season. I was 6-6. So even our expectations were barely above 500.
Mine were technically, I was 6-6, 7 win in the bowl.
And I said 7 wins without the bowl. So clearly I had Monarch blue colored lenses.
Yeah. But even us, with being viewed as sometimes too optimistic, too positive, even we were only off by 1 or 2 wins from where we actually ended up this season. So I don't know. Like it was like we talked about last week. What puts us in the best position to win next season, and retaining is that.
So to wrap that question up, I too agree with you, Gary. I'm a 99% guy because anything can happen. But for all the reasons that Mike mentioned, it just makes sense, and that's where we're at. Great question, Gregory. Appreciate it. Let's move to the next one. Shane Stewart. After that incredible play by Hennikel yesterday, do you foresee both staying or leaving to pursue other opportunities with less competition? I think and then Shane followed it up with not both, all 3 starting quarterbacks this year. So, Mike, you take this one to start.
First of all, I'll start with Quinn Hennikel. He's a true freshman. I don't expect him to leave after his true freshman year. He's been given every opportunity to play and get better, and I don't see any reason for him to leave. Colton Joseph, I expect back. I mean, he's been given the keys to the kingdom, essentially, and I see no reason for him to leave yet. Grant, that's going to be a big decision point on his hands. He can come back and try to compete with Colton and Quinn, or he can go to FCS if he wants like a guaranteed starting job, and because he's not going to have that here anymore. And that's going to be a big decision point for him. I think he's really the only one that is probably like 50-50. The other two are, I would say, are pretty much locks to come back.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Mike. I think you nailed it there. I will tell you, like, I talked to Quinn, I think not too long after signing day, did an interview. It's actually on our YouTube channel. And he was very much expecting to not play a single down this year, to come in, to learn, to grow and develop, because he is a true freshman right out of high school. He showed off in the opportunities that he got. I mean, did he come in relief against Virginia Tech, whose defense is pretty good, and he looked better than any of the UVA quarterbacks that I saw on the field last night. So I think he wants to grow and develop. But, man, it's going to be nice. Like, I think 2 out of the 3 are likely to come back, right? I think that's the most likely outcome is 2 of those 3. But either way, you have 2 people that are actually competing for the job and putting pressure on the other ones and letting iron sharpen iron. And we haven't truly had that where there's actually been a competition in quite a while. So I think that is going to be really beneficial for the whole offense and that quarterback room and the way that quarterbacks that could be recruits view ODU in the future.
I got nothing good to add to those. You guys nailed it all. Here's the next comment that kind of tags on to what we were just discussing. So, a little worried about us needing more quarterback talent coming in because everybody's talking about Colton. What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Well, Aaron, why don't you go first this time so we don't steal all your answers again?
Well, first off, we do have a quarterback for 2025 committed. So that gives you 4 guys in the room. A lot of folks are talking about Colton, but for all the reasons that you guys just mentioned, it makes all the sense in the world for Colton to be here next year. So I think that you got four guys. You've got 3 guys that know this offense and that can step in game 1 and perform. That's clear between Grant, Colton, and Quinn. Holden Brown is here, who's just learning this year, and then you got dudes coming in. So I think that this position is one of the positions. Obviously, you're always recruiting. You're always worried about every position, but this is probably a position that we have to worry about the least right now at Old Dominion.
Yeah, so we have a great commit for 2025, as Aaron mentioned. Ryan Huff from Florida. He had a lot of big offers. Ole Miss was kicking the tires on this kid. I think we got a winner out of Florida to join these other 2 great quarterbacks we already have. I would also say there's a chance that Emmett Moorhead comes back because I know he has a very big interest maybe in coaching, and another year at Old Dominion with a scholarship is a great chance for him to continue his coaching pathway. So there's going to be guys on the – there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks in the room without having to go out and get anyone in addition to Ryan Huff.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely interest out there for Colton, but I mean, I think unless someone comes in from a solid power 4 and says, you are going to be our starter and here's $1 million, like that could happen. Crazier stuff has happened in college football, but I think aside from that kind of scenario, Colton, I think, will be here for us going forward.
Yeah, I mean, if he's leaving now, he has to think about what he's walking away from. You're walking away from a guaranteed starting role that you worked 2 seasons to get. If he leaves, you have to make sure you go somewhere that's guaranteed that same thing where you're starting. And he could go and make more money right now, but that doesn't guarantee a starting role. Hey, Eva. We just answered that one.
Yeah, I wanted to pop that one up because it was very topical. Thank you for that question, Eva. Hi, Mal. Hi to you, too. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you commenting on all of our stuff. We know how much you love Old Dominion. All right, guys. So the next question. Which transfer this past offseason has made the most impact for the team this year?
That is a tough question because we did hit on so many transfers this offseason. I mean, you got Will Jones, everyday starter. Angelo Rankin, everyday starter. Zach Barlev, our best lineman. Aaron Young, our best running back. Patrick Smith, another every down player. Patrick Conroy, every down player at tight end, never left the games. Tough as nails. I mean, that group alone, who would you even pick? It would be tough to decide.
We didn't even say Deontay Vines, and he's been one of our better receivers all year. Like this coaching staff struck gold in the transfer portal this offseason.
Yeah. Okay. Are we forcing ourselves to answer here? I know there's so many choices.
Yes, but you can give two names because you
Okay.
have to say there's the JUCO class, and then there's also like the straight
Right.
4 years.
So
portal.
I was strictly talking about transfers from other FBS programs and FCS. So I see Justice on mentioning Jerron Manning. That's a JUCO. We can talk about the best JUCOs in a minute because we also did very well with the JUCOs.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to cop out because I'm not that smart. I'm going to pick one guy. And I don't know that it would be a popular answer, but I'm going to say Pat Conroy. I'm going to say Pat just because it's the first time that we've had a guy at that position kind of play the position as a whole. And you could argue the position as a whole since Zach Kuntz was here because I don't think anyone has talked about Zach being an awesome blocker. He was a great pass catcher while he was here, but Pat Conroy played. I wish I had the metric on how many minutes he didn't play because he literally played the whole season by himself at that position. And with him being able to do what he did, it opened up other areas of the offense for the team.
I was charting the game yesterday for the first 3 drives, and then once it was obvious we weren't going to be passing much, and then we were committed to the run, I got kind of tired of doing it. We were in 11 personnel all but one play in the first 3 drives, meaning he was on the field every single play except for one. And this is the 12th game of the season after he's been doing that all season long. He's been phenomenal. I'm going to go with Zach Barlev just because we saw how many injuries the O-line dealt with this season, and he was the mainstay throughout from beginning to end. And it was clear he was taking a leadership role and has had a positive influence on this group all season long. And it's led to this great rushing attack we had yesterday and throughout the season.
All right. Well, you all took my number 1 and my number 2 choices, so thank you for that. But the good thing is there's a whole lot more to choose from. I am torn between Seth Noatala on the defensive side because if he doesn't decide to come in from JMU, I don't know how he managed the linebacker position the last 4 or 5 games of the season. He stepped up in a big way and did some good stuff there. But Aaron Young, that's going to be my official pick. One for what he does on the field and really getting into the groove the last couple games of the season and the most important games that we had. He was taking the bulk of the carries and doing a great job with it. But also just his leadership within the team. I don't know if that gets out into the world very much, but listen to his post-game interviews. Listen to him anytime you hear him, and you just understand that he is that true like senior leader, even though he's only been here for a year. So I'll go with Aaron Young, but it's tough to choose just 3 from that transfer portal cycle.
Yeah, great question. Great question. All right, the next one. John felt like we just didn't have that clutch factor this year. One poor decision or a mistake cost us in a lot of one-score games. Thoughts, fellas?
It feels like every game it was something a little different. South Carolina, we didn't have the passing offense we had later in the season, and we became one-dimensional, and you can't do that against an SEC team, right? ECU, we didn't have an offense to take advantage of all those turnovers we got from ECU. AState, I don't know. We made too many mistakes against App State. Marshall, play calling was weird against Marshall.
Special teams was also not great against Marshall.
Was not so special.
Not special. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call it the clutch factor because I feel like we had plenty of moments this year where we were clutch. Like I think of Colton Joseph's drive at Bowling Green to get us the first win. I think about Rankin's interception at the end of the Georgia State game to seal that after we had some not so good special teams plays on the onside kick. So I think that was a pretty clutch play. We were pretty clutch all the whole game against Texas State and Georgia Southern. So I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call it clutch, but you are 100% correct on some decisions and mistakes that cost us close games this year, where if they don't happen, we win. So it's like, how do we get more consistent and have more Bowling Green, Texas State, Georgia Southern kind of games, and fewer ones like App where we turn it over, or Marshall where we make some special teams errors.
I think the last 2 seasons kind of put a highlight on timing being so important. So we had this great defense early in the season, and the offense just wasn't quite clicking, right? We figure out the offense, and then the defense is beaten up because of our difficult schedule, and then maybe they let up a couple games that they should have played better in. It's almost like if we had this year's defense and then next year's offense where Colton and Quinn are just that much more comfortable in running the offense, how differently would the season play out?
Well, the thing you're talking about with the offense and the defense side of the ball, they basically crossed right in the middle of the season, and they aligned for Georgia Southern. And we beat the ever-living shit out of Georgia Southern. And then since that game, I feel like the two have started separating in opposite directions. So the graph is just like a big X. And I think flatten that a little bit, that would be great.
And in this case, I think a lot of that divulgence with the defense struggling a little bit at times that had to do with the number of injuries that we had on that side of the ball, or guys that weren't available.
Yeah, I mean, they got worn down by the end of the year on the defensive side. That's why time of possession doesn't necessarily mean if you win or lose games, but it matters in games 10, 11, and 12, how long you were on the field in games 1 through 6.
All right, fellas. Next question about penalties. For the penalties, yesterday we had quite a few. How do you think that we tighten that up for next season?
This is such a difficult question because, all right, we talk about turnover and people are asking a lot of questions about who's leaving, who's not. We're going to have a lot of turnover again. It is just the fact of how they build rosters these days that we're probably going to see another 50-plus roster change. That includes a lot of walk-ons, so it isn't as bad as it sounds. But when you have that many new players, you're always going to have new ones to kind of drill into these procedural issues to avoid them. But you're going to have growing pains next year with new guys. So I don't know. It's such a tough thing to say. You have all these guys this year that had these issues. You bring in these new guys and assume they're not going to make those same mistakes. It's hard to peg and say this is the one thing they need to change because they're avoidable mistakes, but they're going to happen.
I'm in the same camp as Ricky with the penalties that sometimes occur between the whistles, like the holds and pass interference. That's so ticky-tack, especially in the Sun Belt when they can't even figure out what's roughing and what's running into the punter. But jumping offside so many times against JMU, I will have nightmares about that for the rest of my life. And like you were saying, Mike, those are totally preventable. So I think it just comes down to technique and knowledge, like football IQ kind of things of, hey, this is a situation where JMU is going to try to get you to jump off sides and they're not going to snap the ball. Like rehashing that and increasing that football IQ and watching more film to understand those scenarios. But they were the first team to kind of try to really do that against us too. So maybe that learning experience already happened, but the ones after the whistle and before the whistle are the ones that we got to do everything we can to eliminate.
All right. Thanks for the question, Nash, and thanks for showing up yesterday and at a lot of our events at Afterglow. I will say, that dude is about as passionate as it gets when watching a game on TV. Nash, you might be crazier than me. Like the team can hear us through the TV, and we're gonna will them ourselves. So, thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next event. All right. Sean said we played better at South Carolina than most SEC teams did.
Week 1.
Well, we did not let Lenora Sellers do all of that against us like he did on Saturday. I mean, they got better as a team. Like, we knew their defense was good and they would figure it out, but they're a borderline playoff team, and we gave them the win down there. Painful.
All right. What is the performance marker that Ricky needs to hit next season to stay at ODU?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. And it's one we're not in a position to give you the exact right answer. And I think it's going to be more of like a feel thing for next season. Like, obviously this year we wanted to see progress. We saw a better team on the field that didn't quite win more games, but it was a good quality team we put out there that just couldn't finish the games enough. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be something that you're going to have to just watch and take an educated decision on. I assume anything less than 6 wins is not good enough. But I can't say like 8 wins won't be good enough, right? Like, we don't know.
Well, it's tough to put a win total on it because we have a difficult schedule again next year. It may not be as difficult as this one, but we got at Indiana, at Virginia Tech, home against NC Central and Liberty.
Yes.
So you're likely 2-2, right? Unless Indiana, I mean, they're going to lose a lot, so maybe we do win that game, but most likely 2-2 in the non-conference. And then if
Well,
you go 6-2 in the Sun Belt.
Would you say if we're just trying to guess on if we're favorites right now for those 4 non-conference games, how many of them right now do you think we're favorites in? I would say probably 1.
Guaranteed 1.
Central.
It'll be close with Liberty.
Yeah, Liberty is the one I'm not sure on.
Yeah. So, yeah, we could go 1-3 in that. But I think if you're setting high expectations, you would think we go 2-2, right? We probably lose on the road, win at home. And then to get to 8 wins, you need to go 6-2 in the Sun Belt. And we pretty sure we're going to have ULM and Troy, right? Because those are the only ones we haven't played. And you have to play everyone at least once every 4 years. So I think it'd be those 2. So, I mean, that I would be disappointed with less than 8 wins next season. And 6-2, it didn't win the East this year. It probably should have, but 6-2, you're in the hunt to win the East and go to the title game.
I think that's fair. I think the most impactful part of it is going to be conference play.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to win your in-state games, especially your G5 in-state games. But if you had to wait out the games, which let's face it, you kind of do, then those are the most important, with the ones in the East being the most important.
Yeah. And they're both on the road. So you have to go to Marshall, you have to go to JMU next year.
Yeah.
Let's do this. What happens if we go 6-6, but we're 3-0 in Virginia?
I don't think there's a change.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's more like we have
It's
to
complicated.
See how it plays out.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Because there could be a situation where we win 7 or 8 games and we're extremely lucky and it doesn't feel good.
If we start out winning 7 or 8 games. Sorry, I think you clipped there, Mike. But if we start out winning 7 or 8 games, there's going to be an extension before anything else can happen.
Yeah, I'm more like, let's say you win the first 8 games and then you crap the bed the last 4. You feel pretty crappy about that, right?
Yeah.
But that's like, is that good enough to get an extension? Like, it's all going to be I don't know. I feel like it has to happen before you can kind of judge it.
Sounds like something we'll be talking about next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
great question.
Their teams on our schedule next year, like I don't know what they're going to look like, because Indiana's losing a lot of people, and they spent a lot of money on the NIL this year, and we get them early. Virginia Tech, I would assume that they are going to make a change on the offensive side of the ball, and I think Drones is gone. So we don't know there. Liberty, that whole entire thing could turn over after this season. And then
All right,
the
well,
Sunbelt shit.
What's the status of Tootin?
I hope he goes to the NFL next season.
I hope
Please.
so too.
Because how different of that game is that if they don't have Michelle Tootin and Drones?
Yeah,
It's
that's a transfer portal success story right there. Like,
Yeah.
he's good.
We'll be talking about that early next season. So, good segue to the next question. Clearly, I've missed a comment, so we're just going to jump right into this one. Asking essentially, why did so many players, probably what we were talking about earlier, if Ricky goes, the difficulty of holding on to players, why did so many stick around that Wilder recruited when Ricky came in?
I think you got to think about how different the rules are now. You can transfer every year if you want to, assuming you can get enrolled and accepted at a university. It's just a lot different nowadays than back then.
Yeah, the rules are different. Some of our better players at the time did leave, thinking mainly Keon White going to Georgia Tech, but also there was not a big demand for players from a team that went 1-11 in Conference USA. Like, we were a 5-7 Sun Belt team that had all those one-score games and clearly a lot of talent on the roster that's attractive with the new portal rules.
And I mean, the roster still did change a lot in that first year under Ricky, because I think it was like 45 plus that first year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been 50 every year he's been here.
Yeah.
It's a good number. I mean,
and I think that's it's fairly common. I think the difference is we include the walk-on numbers too, and a lot of other schools don't even put their walk-ons on the online roster. So I think like some schools have like 35 and we're closer to 50. I think that 10 to 12 walk-on gap is there, but it's everywhere.
That's good context, and it's also good lead into pay attention to ODUmonarchist.com as you guys have become accustomed to. Mike puts a lot of time into some of these roster churn pages, and we're going to have the football one in the not too distant future. That context that Gary was just talking about, we're going to try to break this down for y'all a little bit more this year, just so you kind of have a better flavor of, who's going, who's coming, and what the true impact is.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be possible without the help of Kyle Pollock, the recruiting coordinator for ODU football. He's been very helpful with me and the roster and talking about this recruiting class for 25. So shout out to him and ODU football for being helpful. We now know who the walk-ons are, and it won't be a guessing game. And you'll understand that when that number 50 is not always 50. And you got to think about walk-ons. They're coming here. They're paying their own way for school, and they can't get a job because they have to play football. It's not a lot of these guys can't even dress out for games as walk-ons, right? They don't travel. So like the positives of being a football player, they're not always there. And that's why you see so much turnover in the walk-on position, because these kids either can go somewhere else to get a scholarship, or they can just return to being a full-time student where their focus is on enjoying their college experience and getting an education. Because football is a tough sport that is without those rewards, it gets even harder. And that's kind of why we love walk-ons so much, because you need walk-ons to have a good program. And it's a thankless position for a lot of them.
Well said, Mike. All right. Sean thinks that Grant will be transferring. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and there's lots of good reasons why Grant may or may not transfer. If he does, we wouldn't blame him. But I think whatever Grant decides to do, he's got good opportunities no matter what he chooses. So he knows the offense here. He knows the offensive system, the offensive coordinator. But clearly, he's got the tools if he were to decide to transfer to an FCS school, that he'd probably be able to walk in on day one and really compete at a high level and have a chance to lead a team to the playoffs.
And that includes a lot of Virginia schools at the FCS level. You got William Mary, Richmond, Hampton, VMI. He could go into any of these places and start tomorrow. So it's really up to Grant on what he sees his future as. Maybe he decides he wants to stick around and keep learning from Ricky and Decker and kind of lean towards that future coaching role. You don't know.
All right. The next one. You're welcome. Does Jason Henderson plan to return next year? Are there any roster departures that are expected?
I think I would say 50-50 on Jason Henderson. I think similar to Grant, it's kind of what does Jason want to do and what are the other opportunities. It seems like he wants to play and he wants to get his last year of eligibility in and play. I think we're a better defense with him on the field. But he had a really tough injury, a tough rehab. It's probably been tough on him mentally, not being able to be out there to help the team and be around it a whole lot. So I don't know. I would give my personal guess, and I have no knowledge of it. I would think he's probably going to look to transfer and play somewhere else next season. But I would love it if he stayed.
Yeah, I too. I kind of see a comparison, both Jason and Grant, both with injuries, fairly significant injuries that have kept them out long periods of time. Obviously, Jason's has required surgery. I'm not sure about Grant's and whether he will or not, but those decisions I think will happen after both players have important conversations with the staff and then have, important conversations with themselves and make that determination on what is the best decision for themselves and the team and everything in between.
As for expected departures, Jerron was the most obvious. He has so much immense talent, and we were lucky to have him for this year. But that one made sense. I'm not sure there's anyone else on his level right now that we're like, that guy belongs at the P4 level. Not sure if anyone else disagrees or agrees with that. Jerron's the one.
Agreed.
Yeah, he's pure talent-wise, he stands out above the others. I think there are other guys that may get some messages that could be like, hey, kick the tires and see if they're interested in hopping in the portal. Who knows? We've seen guys every year that, like, maybe they aren't even full-time starters for us, end up getting some sort of offer to go to even a Power 4 school. I know we saw a bunch that went to Colorado, varying levels of results there, along with some other places. So I don't know. It's weird, but there's no one else I think of off the top of my head. Like, not going to surprise me if he's gone.
Mal asked if Mike, you or I would watch a Special Olympics polar plunge. I don't like the cold. It depends on how cold it is outside and if the batteries are charged for my jacket.
I would do it.
Plunge with it.
I'd be down for it. As a student at Tennessee, I was involved with a lot of different volunteer opportunities, and one was with Special Olympics, and those kids are always awesome. So any chance to interact with them is a good thing. So, Gary, you're talking about last year and how we had some guys transfer that were like kind of like that. I didn't expect that. This D lineman for ODU football last year that ended up at Memphis, right? Or was it O-line?
I know we had an offensive lineman go to UCLA. And it's hard to track them. I have to go back and look at the roster churn to see, but there was a wide receiver that went to Memphis that I don't think, or no, safety.
But he didn't stay there, right?
No,
Or did
he's
he?
back in the portal.
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot 2 years ago when the NIL first really opened up, of guys getting promised a good chunk of cash. They got a tiny amount of it up front with the stipulation of you have to remain on the roster after the spring portal window. And some of them were cut just prior to that window and did not get the rest of their payout. So read the fine print.
Smoke and mirrors, baby. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Number sounds.
Once the
One of
dude
those
makes
guys
a decision, all that leverage is gone.
Yep.
One of those guys got a sack against us against Marshall.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
We did mention that name last week.
Yeah, I think he might have made a play last night too.
He did. Made a big play last night.
Yeah.
So.
Kyle Clift is asking if we have a big body wide receiver that might step up for next season. I'd like to see us have a 6'5" guy. Yeah, we'd like to have more of those with basketball too.
6'5". I mean, that's a tight end. We did just sign a tall receiver, Ja'Cory Thomas from Hutchinson Community College. He had offers from pretty much everyone in the Sun Belt. I imagine he can come in and be an everyday player every down player for us moving forward.
Not shocked to see wide receivers from Hutchinson Community College making their way to ODU.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Our current wide receiver coach, Cody Cook, was an assistant there. So these receivers are leaving now, were recruited to Hutchinson by Cody Cook. And we have 2 receivers right now from Hutchinson that are coming their way. Trey Brown is the other one. He's 6'1", so he has another pretty good size. And I'm hearing really good things about the high school recruit, Josh Rodriguez. He had some ACC interest, and they think he can contribute from day one at the receiver position.
We do not disagree at all that it would be nice to have that guy. I don't even want to say a possession type receiver, but a big body kind of guy that can go and get you that tough catch to mix in with some of our not so tall, speedy guys. All right. Question from Sean Dalton talking about the offensive line play, but there's concern that we gave up a lot of sacks and a lot of holds. He thinks that Ricky needs to be better at coaching those discipline type penalties. Any thoughts, Melissa?
I don't think holds are a discipline thing. They're a technique thing. You either get beat off the ball and you're trying to save your quarterback from a nasty hit, or the running back from a nasty hit. Holds are, it's all about technique and strength and speed.
I agree with you on that, Mike. And we were facing a lot of very talented defensive fronts this year. A lot of positions where we were not the most talented group in that matchup. And sometimes guys were getting beaten. You're right. They held to keep Grant upright, keep Colton upright. But we still need to be very aggressive, I think, in the transfer portal, because we will be replacing a lot on that offensive line. Also replacing a lot at wide receiver. You're talking about those speedy guys, and Isaiah Page is out now. He's out of eligibility. So I don't know. I think you can coach out of it to an extent, but if we get more talented there, that problem may solve itself.
Yeah, I mean, we need to clean up the holds, but we need to do that by investing in the portal. The better players you have, the less likely holds are to occur.
Yep.
All right, fellas, do you think we'll ever play Ohio State or the University of Georgia down the road?
Well, the plan is to play a bye game every year. So as long as that is our plan, there's a chance.
I think we will face them next year as the 12 seed in the playoffs when Ohio State somehow fumbles the bag in the Big Ten championship again. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe. If that happens, though, we're putting this on a loop.
Clip it. So I was trying to think of who that lineman was that left last year that I was surprised by. It was Jalen Satchel. I think he went to Michigan State.
Yeah. There are a lot of them. If you go track down the guys that left in the last 2 years, see where they are. There are definitely some success stories, though. I think Lemarion had a great year at TCU. I think he improved his stock. Wayne Matthews had a good year, Michigan State. Sean Asbury did really well at Indiana. Terry Jones was injured, but he played well when he was in. Who else? Harvey at Duke. He ended up playing more in the second half of the year.
Mel wants to know why we're playing at Indiana next year. Deep checkbooks. They pay. Their money cashes.
And they were really bad at the time we scheduled that. They weren't 11-1.
It's a bye game.
Yep. We've already talked about this. Fred Watkins, Hollywood 7. They got a lot going on in that name. I don't know. Should we call you Fred or should we call you Hollywood? I'm not sure. Let us know for future because we see you comment on our stuff. Thank you so much.
Fred, that bringing Ricky back is not a decision we had a hand in. We were explaining maybe the things they were considering when they made that decision, or if they make that decision to bring Ricky back.
And last year, I don't think that option was on the table because of how large the buyout was. And plus, we went 6-6, so there was less in the air about that.
All right. Since we're on it, someday we'll stop the pie in the sky and realize if we was going to get something different, we would have already gotten it. 500 is the best we can hope for. So I say reset for the bigger. Well, I don't want to say we beat this one to death, but what's cool is we've got passionate fans that have different ideas on things, and we all have opinions, and we've talked about what we think is going to happen there. I guess we'll all see.
If we were getting blown out and we were non-competitive in our games, I would be on that same boat, and I would have been on it last year. But it's like we're one player, one play, it's one away. So there's one more year to not be one more away.
Yes, Lemarion has played well at TCU. He looks like things are working out great for him, and we're super happy, for him on that. All right, one of you guys is going to have to translate for me with Garrick here because I'm not sure exactly what Bali leggings are. But
that's our old friend who played receiver for us and transferred to Virginia.
Oh,
you notice how I did not mention his name going through the guys that transferred the last 2 years.
Thank you, Garrick. I'm sorry I was not picking up what you're putting down, but it all makes so much sense now.
Oh, and Jared, yes, you are right. And how fitting how you lost that prediction to be right on the money.
It was. M. Is that M or is that call you M? I'm not sure.
I think that's
doesn't like what we're putting down. That's cool.
He didn't like the reaction.
That's cool. I respect that. All right, Sean wants to know if we call this season a success.
Hell no.
No. I wouldn't call the season a success at all. We didn't make a bowl game. We didn't win the division. There are reasons to be optimistic for the future, but that doesn't make this season a success.
Nope. We were sitting there at 4-4 with all of those things in front of us, and finally an opportunistic schedule coming off buys and home games and things like that, and we didn't get it done. So no, this is far, far from a success, in my opinion.
It's a season of what ifs.
It was last year too.
Yeah. And I think the coaching staff, the players, I think everybody would agree. Wasn't our favorite way to lose either, Jared.
Yeah. I don't. All right. Fred's got another response.
Oh, we're coming. We're coming. Yes. Unrealized potential. Damn right. All right. Fred wishes he didn't love ODU football, or at least another pod to listen to. Listen to you guys make excuse after excuse is sickening. We need accountability.
I don't think we've made any excuses. We're not happy with a 5-win season. But we understand that we're not the ones paying these buyouts. This is not a cheap business. And you're talking about a coaching change. As mentioned, you're going to have to increase the staffing budget, the recruiting budget, the NIL budget, probably guarantee some sort of facility enhancement. You're talking about a hiring change might cost you $3 million on top of what everything else is already costing you. Then you want to play a buyout. So now you're looking at what, 350 to or 3.5 to 4 million?
Where do you get that money?
This is not a cheap decision to make. We can't just it's not willy-nilly moving this dollar to over here. It's an expensive decision that we understand. It doesn't mean we support it or anything. It's just we understand. That's all it is. So if you want to call that excuse making, that I don't really know what else you're looking for.
Yeah, we've also come on here after games that we lost that we should have won and been pretty critical of the team and pretty clear with how we weren't excited about it. I know I went in hot after that second half of JMU on the offensive side of the football. I think anything short of us telling Fred that we want to fire everybody into the sun, we will not be making Fred happy. But hey, I mean, if we're going to operate in a world where money's not real, I bet if we called Nick Saban and said, "Do you want $20 million for a year at ODU?" he'd probably come on down. But I don't think we have $20 million in the couch cushions.
No, we don't. We don't. It's just our opinion. And we laid out why we think that's the case. Doesn't mean it's right. It's just what we think.
Yeah,
we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you commenting. The fortunate thing is we're all passionate about Old Dominion. We appreciate your passion for it as well. But it's not simple. It's not as simple of just changing a coach. There are so many things that go into it, all of which have been discussed over the last hour. All right. Gregory Brown says his earlier question relates to after Coach Ronnie's contract expires. What is the percentage that each of you think Dr. Seelig will bring him back?
I'd say his chances of being extended are directly tied to how successful you think they'll be next year. So let's say preseason win total is at 4.5 again. I think you could probably safely say he's probably not coming back.
I think you could just add 10% on each game that we win, and that would probably be an accurate way to judge the probability of an extension. So
adding 10 or subtracting 10?
Oh, no, you don't have to subtract. Just, all right.
Just start at 0.
10. Yeah, start at 0, then one win is 10, you go up. And hey, if we reach 10 wins, it's probably 100% likelihood that extension happens. If it's 5, actually, I probably think it's closer to 0 in that instance, but it's at least close. And Sean, I see your comment and I'm laughing.
You talking about that one, Gary?
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure if you're going to put it up, but yes.
Oh, I had it up. I had it up after, in the other. Yeah, it's no, we don't want it to sound like a cop out when we say it depends, but there are so many variables that go into these things. But I think you guys are spot on. If Vegas says 4.5 and we are a half to either side, we're at 4, we're at 5. I think there's a national surge. I think that's just kind of, what it ended up being. But it depends. There are so many factors at play. That being said, I'm hoping it's not even a decision next year. I'm hoping that the team is able to build on this positive momentum, that we're able to do great things, and we're talking about an extension. That would be great.
I
Fred,
can, I can do this one if you want. If we're in the position of 0-12, I think the decision maker in your sentence would be changed too.
if he's 0-7, he's probably not coming back for 0-8.
No.
That Fred, that I understand that a lot of people are saying a lot of stuff like this because of what happened with Jeff Jones. This is a very different situation because he only has 1 year left. It's not a situation where he can get 10 more years off of what he's done. Because if that was the situation, he would have already been extended. And that hasn't happened. Apart from that initial extension he got early on in his career. So, yeah. Not sure that's relevant.
Okay, so Sean doesn't disagree with part of Fred's comment. He believes that Wood holds guys longer than he should, but yeah, y'all are correct about the 50-50 is right now. All I'll say about this is things are much more complex, and there's lots of things below the surface that folks just wouldn't know. Not everyone has all the juice that everyone thinks they have at all times.
All right, well, so let's talk about that. For Selig to fire someone, he needs president approval. He needs board of visitor approval. And then you're probably going to need ODAF board's approval. And after you get all that, you still need to talk to your major donors to make sure everyone's on the same page. Because if we all remember those ODAF calculators where you could see where you ranked and how much it would take for you to get in the top 10, I don't know if anyone else played with it, but I did. And if you played with it, you realize there's like 20 people feeding our entire athletic department. And if you don't have those 20 people on your side, it could get ugly here pretty quickly.
And that has played a factor before. And I'll leave it there.
All right. Ironic how you guys have been more productive talking about what other teams are doing than our own. Kind of hilarious.
Huh?
I feel like we've only talked about Old Dominion, so I don't know.
Yeah. Let us know what other teams are doing that we did well, Fred. Just congratulations to us if that's the case, because I'm not really sure which ones they are, but I'd be interested in that, and we can have that discussion.
Let's say Justice knows more about the other teams than we do, I think.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
All right. Seems like you're afraid to say what should be done, which, Fred, we did. We said exactly why we don't think things are going to happen and what it would take. I think you just don't like what we're saying, which is fine. That's cool. I mean, everybody's entitled to his opinions. We just think that we laid out the case.
All right, Fred. So you want to talk about a new OC? All right. So Ricky has 1 year to win. It is his choice on which coordinators he rolls with. He has a decision to either fire Decker or keep him on board. It's his decision. So if he goes down with Decker, that's his choice. But he has two considerations to make. He has 1 year to win to get his extension. If he doesn't win enough, he's not back in 2026. So does he roll with Decker where the offense is already installed and we scored 40 points yesterday with this offense? If you fire Decker, you're going to have to replace Decker, the wide receiver coach, the O-line coach, and the tight end coach. So then now you got 4 positions you have to hire for, because you also have quarterback coach, right? Quarterback coach, OC, O-line, wide receiver, tight end. That's 5 positions you got to replace before you even talk about rebuilding for next year, because you're going to lose guys that are tied to Decker, Hutt, and these other position coaches that are already recruited or on the roster. Risk-wise, Ricky is taking the other way and saying, I like how close we are. We can make some other changes, maybe to play calling or strategy-wise, to have a better chance to win. Obviously, firing OCs every year wasn't working for us. So maybe a little continuity is just the risk he wants to play with. I don't know. That's Ricky's call.
Well said, Mike.
Neil Brown has been fired from West Virginia. Sorry, I was devoting all my time to other teams.
0. Everybody's talking a lot of trash, but ain't nobody dropping no dollars. Yeah, join the collective. We need all the members we can to support and grow this collective so we can become a weapon in the transfer portal.
Can we talk about flag planting for a little while?
Sure, man.
Because I think we ended up with 4 fights yesterday related to flag planting. And I think I sent it to both of you, but this is all Baker Mayfield's fault.
What was that, like, how long ago was that now? Like 8 years?
So, yeah, I think 8 years. I think it was 16 or 17. Oklahoma went up there and beat Ohio State. He planted the flag. And ever since then, that's become a little bit more of a thing. And then, of course, Ohio State is very sensitive to it. But, man, we got pepper spray. We got all-out brawl, and then they just start happening all over the place. And North Carolina, NC State had one. Arizona State was trying to put the pitchfork in Arizona's field. I don't know. I'll pose the question: if we win at JMU next year, should ODU plant a flag in the middle of their field?
According to Harry Minium's tweet, no.
What about you?
I need that to happen.
We would never do that. Yeah.
You need it to happen?
Yes. After this 3-loss streak to JMU, I need it to happen.
So then I would build off of that question and go, would you rather plant if you were in the flag planting business, would you rather plant a flag in Blacksburg or a flag in Harrisonburg?
I mean, I think I'd rather plant it in Blacksburg or in Harrisonburg, but I'm actually in the camp of not planting the flag. Because it's kind of like you're surprised you won kind of thing. Instead of acting like it's a business trip, we expected to come up here and whip your ass, get back on the bus, and go home. But in the moment, it sounds pretty awesome, other than pepper spray.
And if you're going to pepper spray, know which way the wind is blowing.
OC spray training, pretty basic. But yeah, and then sprayed it in a circle in a group. I mean, oof, it brought back some memories of King's Dominion.
Fred, no one's celebrating right now. I don't.
I thought we had moved on from Fred.
Hey, he cares, man. He cares. So, Garrick, money always a factor. It's always been a factor, but no more than in today's landscape. Every move with the staff has the ability to set you back even further than you are now. That is the risk, especially at G5s. Yes. I mean, that's been part of so much of what we talked about today. You're right. I mean, the stakes are bigger than they ever have been on both sides.
I mean, Aaron, how long have we been looking for a quarterback?
Since David Washington?
Correct. Yep. We now think we have one in Colton Joseph and potentially even in his backup, Quinn Hennicle. To wait that long to finally have a quarterback, and then if you want to fire Ricky, that all goes away pretty quickly. We know how hard it is to find a quarterback after all these years. We found one, but let's run the guy off because we're not happy with these last couple seasons. Give him. It's just one more year, guys. We're not. It's not like we're committed to Rick Stockstill for another decade.
Yeah. Who would ever thought the flag planting question that you laid, Gary, would be so popular?
All right, so if we do it for the royal rivalry, then it can't just be a flag.
It should be a sword.
Yeah, it's like somebody on a horse with a sword, but that's too UVA. Unless they're in full knight regalia, then it's cool.
Well, here's my question with regards to, we'll just call it planting, because we haven't decided what we're planting. On these artificial surfaces, one, can you plant without mortally wounding the turf?
I feel like you break your hands because it's a pretty strong weave in there that doesn't rip.
Yeah. I don't
I've
think
seen
this
some
is
go
well
through,
thought
but-
through. And if it
Concrete.
is, could you charge the school who planted for the repairs?
I'm sure they would love to get that invoice and immediately have their next donation drive.
Yeah, sorry, we're gonna have to replace this entire turf because now you've destroyed the integrity of it.
It's
Can't
like
just
when
do
the
this
SEC
one spot.
I think it would just need to be re-sewed, to be honest.
Yeah. That thing would be like when the SEC like fines a school for storming the field, and it's like, oh, $250,000, but
Where'd Gary
Yeah.
go?
Good Lord, Jared, we can't even see Gary. Good Lord,
you.
Fred, if you're that upset about it, you can make a choice not to watch it.
All right. We
That's
do
your
not have to
decision.
read the novel.
Oh man.
By the way, I'm just going to say this. Fred, we appreciate your opinion and your thought, but I think you're focusing too much on what we're saying and not the actual discussion going on here.
Yes. But we show the comments and we talk about them because we do care. We do care what everybody thinks. We're not censoring stuff out. Just like the calls we get. We play those calls. Except for one really weird one we got earlier this season.
But that was more
But,
technically related than it was to.
It was.
content.
It wasn't. Yeah. Exactly. It was. Yeah. It was a technically related issue. But no.
I had an interesting discussion with Scott Barlow last week about the portal. And I think it's something that all fans need to take into account when they're thinking about all of this movement going on. So when Zach picked Old Dominion, he picked Old Dominion for 2 years. He wanted to come play here, not transfer again, and he wanted to play for one coach. So when you're making all these decisions on who's fired and all that, you are impacting a lot of kids' lives that were made, like changes they made and choices they made, assuming something was going to happen. So it's kind of interesting just getting to that other side of things and thinking about all of the impacts that would happen if you did make a change that aren't just about wins and losses, but more of just how many people's lives are going to be impacted. It's pretty interesting to think about. Because you also have all these assistant coaches that aren't making a killing that have committed to being in this area. I don't know. It's just really interesting to think about the downstream effects of changing a staff.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it, Mike, that I think a lot of us probably don't do. You just kind of see the results on the field or not results and kind of look at it from just the coach and not, all the other tentacles that go out. All right, Gregory Brown, Mike, Gary, if you had the power to upgrade one aspect of football's facilities, which would it be? His pick would be to upgrade the student section to not look like high school bleachers.
Gary, you can lead us off here.
Yeah, that is a good one you bring up, Gregory, and that would be on the list. But an indoor practice facility would be top of the list. We're starting to see more of those pop up within the conference. They add a lot from a recruiting perspective and gives you more opportunities for practice and to be able to control the environment and have some protection from peering eyes as well. So indoor would be high on the list at the top.
From a fan perspective, getting bathrooms and concessions on that second level I feel like is needed at this point.
The fifth floor. Ava, where are you sitting?
Yeah,
She must use the elevator because the elevator says fifth floor.
Oh.
But yes.
Okay. That makes sense now. Thank you, Mike. Second time you've hooked me up today. First one being Bali leggings.
It makes sense if you think of the spelling of names.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have loved to see a new north end zone facility for us as well. The other thing I think that would be nice, but I don't see how we can ever make it happen, is having the practice facility connected to the football stadium somehow. But I don't know if that's possible.
Do you have like a sky bridge over Bluestone and putting it on? Is there enough real estate on the other side there?
I don't know. That's the thing. It's real estate, right? And how tight. Because you can't get rid of Williamsburg Lawn. It's like one of the nicest places on campus. And then the ROTC building is, until it's replaced, it's not. And those are some of our only old buildings on campus. So do you really want to get rid of the only history you have? I don't know.
I like your elevated walkway idea because now I'm thinking, all right, no, it's not going to go on that side. It's going to go on the other side of Hampton where the blue lot is now. So that way we can upgrade the swimming facility, just put it in the very back corner because it's already full of water anyway. There we go.
I like it. And Garrett likes exactly what you said, Gary. So scream from the rooftop a lot. He wants to strike a deal with the city, build a stadium for Granby, Maury, and the whole golf course discussion we've talked about personally a lot, and then build a practice facility over the current city fields.
So, I mean, they have Powhatan Field already, right? Maury and Granby. And that is till 2030, I think. So none of this would be possible until 2030. I think, honestly, the easiest way is moving the field hockey and lacrosse field one over to where Powhatan is and making that a football facility as well so the high schools could still use it. And then you just dome over where the current field hockey field is.
That would,
you could almost
that
bubble
would
it.
out. The only downside to keeping any high school football back there, though, is nothing I'm sure would make ODU happier than be able to tear up that giant surface lot that goes up to the old golf course. Because we've seen what happened to surface lots across the rest of ODU the last 10 years or so. They're gone. And that's a big prime piece of real estate that someone would love to have a piece of that, and where the Powhatan apartments somehow are still standing.
One more thought on the indoor thing. The cheapest way to do this is have it be a university project that the football team seldomly uses when they need it. But you'd have to make it available for like parks or the recreational, like ODU rec, like flag football and stuff like that.
What about you, Aaron?
Man, it all goes back to that money discussion again. This is why I don't think the north end zone is going to get done anytime soon. I hate to say if ever, but you've got a baseball facility that hasn't started its work yet, or if it has, it's very, very recently. I haven't been over there in a week or two. So you've got a $20+ million campaign there. We obviously are paying on football. The TED is probably paid off at this point, but I don't know at what point you've got to put more money into that. I mean, you got to come up with all this money, and like you were saying earlier, you you only have so many people who have checkbooks to pay for a lot of this stuff. And a lot of them are probably committed out for a number of years with big dollar commitments. So it just gets very complex. You got to find the balance of doing what you need to do to be able to compete with all your peers. So those being the Sun Belt first and foremost, football, arguably the best conference, best G5 conference in football. So if you're competing well with folks in our conference and you're doing what you need to do, baseball would be the same way. Such a good conference. Basketball, we have phenomenal facilities, and football, we have a new facility, but there are some gaps there. The bathrooms being one of the largest ones that people seem to like to talk about after we got cup holders. So I don't know. I just don't know.
So, Aaron, Greg did say if you had the power. So I think this is like, if money is
Good
not
point. Good point.
Yeah,
Good
you
point.
hit the lotto, man. Like, you got $1 billion in the bank. What are you buying? What fancy thing are you buying ODU?
Well, since we have the baseball facility that's about to happen, and you've got the TED, which is awesome. From an impact standpoint, I would agree. It's got to be the indoor. Aesthetically, it's a north end zone, but that doesn't move the needle in helping the team. So it's got to be. It's got to be the indoor, or you've got to be able to build that north end zone, and you have a lot of what the locker room and stuff that might be at LR right there. So you got the team right at the stadium. Potentially helps you in the recruiting side and the logistics side of just playing football.
So that road idea, Aaron, you had about going under or passing under. Obviously, that's from our trip to Tech, where we saw they had their secret passageway to their football facility, to the stadium.
Yep.
If we had this land to the left, right there on Bluestone, where it's been kind of a construction pad, if you could put the football facility there and have that walk under, then finish the stadium out.
Yeah. That could be pretty sweet. You just have to draw it out. I don't know if it's big enough, but.
Oh, yeah. So, Garrick, my idea is moving field hockey and lacrosse to Powhatan Field, where for Granby and Moyer currently. But you couldn't do that until 2030, when hopefully they have a new stadium by then for the city schools. All right. So tomorrow I am going to LR Hill to learn about recruiting so I can bring better recruiting content to Monarch fans. A big part of this will be our transition to the Pride of ODU website. Some of this is going to be open and free information for everybody. Some of it is only going to be for collective members. So if you're still on the fence about joining the collective, I would highly suggest you join now. So when we put some new content out, you can always read it.
That's exciting, Mike. You've sourced all of this completely by yourself over the years. So I think that this gives you the opportunity to take things kind of to a whole new level, which allows us to be able to bring content to those folks who are collective members, because it's in the best interest of everybody. We're trying to grow the membership of the collective, and being able to provide some perks to those folks is important. So we're trying to think outside the box when it comes to some of these things. This being one of them that's been super popular over the last 5 years or so. And just taking a good idea and making it even better. This will come out tonight or tomorrow. Obviously, we've got basketball tomorrow. We'll be there to cover that, post-game presser. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, make sure you go ahead and do that. There's lots of great stuff to come with regards to men's and women's hoops. And then this recruiting angle that Mike is talking about. Probably one of the most important, or one of the most interesting things to lots of our fans is getting that recruiting news.
Yeah, I'm really excited about unveiling that to fans because we still haven't even seen the full website, but from what we've seen, it's a pretty big upgrade that I think fans are going to enjoy. If we have no more questions, I think this is a good place to wrap this up.
I got one more bit of info for everybody. We talk a lot about the transfer portal. The official windows this year are December 9th through December 28th. Players can go in at any point in time. They can come out whenever, not limited to that window. And then the spring window is shortened this year. It's only going to be 10 days from April 16th to April 25th. So those are the true portal windows to sweat.
And to add to that, because we always have to add to that, if they graduate, the windows are not relevant to them.
Yep. Or if there's a coaching change, you have 30 free days.
And on top of that, like, just because a guy announces late doesn't mean he entered late. Some guy might announce after the window is closed, but they already put their information in before that, or they're planning on doing the spring portal. So it's going to be a lot of news coming soon.
It is. I mean, you got the early signing period coming up here in a couple days, right? If I've got that right.
Yep.
Yeah, we're about a week out.
Yeah, a few days, I think. I think it's the 4th. So I think that's when it opens up. So potential news there. So stay tuned.
How many graduates do we have? We don't have the complete number there, but I think the number was around 22, not including walk-ons. And the reason why I can't commit to that fully is I don't know what juniors walked on senior day because I'm waiting for that list, and I should have it soon. All right. So we went live for the second time. How do you guys feel it went?
I think it went great. I think the best part of it is being able to interact and answer some of these questions and comments. Yeah. So hopefully everybody did enjoy that. Let us know on our social media what you liked, what you didn't like. And thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Mike, you got anything before we close out?
Yeah, be on the lookout. We're going to try to do 2 basketball episodes this week, one with a player and one with Coach Delisha. So look out for that. I think we're going to probably hop on more this offseason than we have in the past, maybe to talk about the portal and how everything's going. So be on the lookout for those and support ODU. Join the Pride.
Sounds good, fellas. We'll talk to you later, man. Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.